Ladies and gentlemen, imagine for a moment that every limitation you believe about yourself is nothing more than an illusion created by your own mind. Imagine that the only barrier between where you are and where you want to be is a single thought you have not yet trained. The truth is, your mind is the most powerful force you will ever possess, and if you learn to control it, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, you cannot achieve. The mind is the seed, the mind is the cause, and life is the effect. Train your mind, and you can achieve anything you desire. But let us take this idea even deeper. Think of the mind not only as a garden, but as a compass, constantly pointing you in the direction of your dominant thought. If your mind is saturated with fear, it pulls you toward situations that justify that fear. If your mind is filled with ambition and faith, it draws you toward opportunities that match that faith. The world reflects back to us not what we wish in passing moments, but what we continually believe, what we persistently dwell upon. This is why training the mind is not a casual pastime, but the central work of life itself. Consider how often people sabotage themselves without realizing it. They dream of success, but speak constantly of failure. They desire wealth, but dwell on scarcity. They long for love, but entertain thoughts of loneliness and rejection. The mind, untrained, cannot distinguish between what we want and what we fear. It accepts both with equal weight, and it faithfully sets in motion the circumstances to bring them about. But the trained mind is selective. It allows only the images of what is desired, only the affirmations of strength, only the vision of success. It ignores the noise of contradiction, and as a result, it bends reality to its command. Now reflect on the incredible truth that you can take charge of this process at any moment. Every day presents you with a choice, to live by chance or by design, to let thoughts drift aimlessly or to direct them with precision, to be shaped by circumstances or to shape circumstances through disciplined thinking. The person who trains their mind understands that while they cannot always control external events, they can always control their internal response. And in that response lies the power to transform everything. When you look at the lives of extraordinary achievers, you notice a common thread. They did not allow themselves to be controlled by the doubts of others. They refused to dwell on failure longer than necessary. They deliberately held fast to their vision, even when no evidence yet existed to support it. They understood that reality always lags behind thought, that the invisible must be held firmly until it becomes visible. This patience, this persistence, this refusal to be shaken, these are the hallmarks of a trained mind. Imagine an athlete who decides to build strength. At first, the exercises feel difficult, even painful. The muscles resist. Progress seems slow. But with consistent training, the body adapts, grows stronger, more capable, more enduring. The same is true of the mind. At first, it resists discipline. It clings to old habits, old fears, old ways of thinking. But as you persist, as you replace weakness with strength day by day, your mind becomes powerful, focused, resilient. It learns to obey your direction. It becomes a tool you can rely on in every challenge. One of the most profound exercises you can begin today is to hold a single definite goal in your mind and picture it as already accomplished. See yourself living in that reality. Feel the emotions of having achieved it. Speak of it to yourself as though it were inevitable. Each day, spend time reinforcing this picture. The more vividly and frequently you do this, the more natural it becomes, until eventually your subconscious accepts it as fact. And once the subconscious mind accepts an idea, it works tirelessly, day and night, to bring it into being through actions, ideas, and circumstances. But be aware, the mind will produce results only in exact proportion to the clarity and intensity of your vision. Vague desires yield vague outcomes. A clear, detailed, definite vision yields results that match its precision. The trained mind does not traffic in generalities. It builds specifics. Define exactly what you want, why you want it, and what it will mean for your life. Then let that vision dominate your thoughts. Do not let it waver. Do not let temporary setbacks shake it. Remember, a ship without a course drifts at the mercy of the winds, but a ship with a steady compass eventually reaches its destination. To train your mind also means to master the art of focus. In this world of constant distraction, the ability to concentrate on one great purpose is rare, yet it is the very foundation of all achievement. Most people scatter their energy in dozens of directions, never applying enough force in one area to produce meaningful results. But when you focus your thoughts, when you devote your energy consistently to a single aim, you unleash a power that multiplies your efforts many times over. Concentrated thought is like sunlight through a magnifying glass. It can burn through any obstacle. And do not underestimate the role of belief. The mind acts only within the limits you set for it. If you believe something is impossible, your mind will faithfully close off all paths to its achievement. If you believe it is possible, your mind will tirelessly search for ways to make it real. Belief is the key that unlocks the mind's creative power. Train yourself, therefore, to believe in your own ability, to believe in the worthiness of your goals, to believe in the limitless potential that resides within you. It is worth remembering that the mind cannot hold two opposing thoughts at the same time. You cannot entertain faith and fear simultaneously. One must give way to theirs. Other. When you deliberately fill your mind with faith, confidence, and purpose, there is no room left for fear or doubt. This is why affirmations, visualization, and constant reinforcement are so vital. They crowd out the negative and fortify the positive. They create a mental environment where only success can thrive. Discipline in thought naturally leads to discipline in action, for thoughts, when repeated, demand expression. The person who constantly thinks of health makes choices that sustain health. The person who constantly thinks of prosperity sees and seizes opportunities others overlook. The person who constantly thinks of growth and learning finds ways to improve daily. Training the mind, therefore, is not separate from living. It is the very act of shaping how you live, moment by moment, choice by choice. Do not be deceived by the illusion of quick fixes or shortcuts. The mind, like the body, grows strong only through sustained effort. But the rewards are far beyond anything else you could imagine. A trained mind brings peace in chaos, clarity in confusion, and strength in adversity. It attracts opportunities, creates solutions, and turns setbacks into stepping stones. It gives you mastery over yourself, and in mastering yourself, you gain mastery over your world. Now think of the alternative, the untrained mind. It reacts rather than responds. It is tossed about by every opinion, every event, every fear. It wastes its energy on trivialities, surrenders its power to circumstances, and drifts without direction. Such a life is not truly lived, it is endured. But you have the choice to rise above that condition. By taking responsibility for your thoughts, by training your mind each day, you place yourself among the rare few who live deliberately, purposefully, and powerfully. From this day forward, remind yourself often, your thoughts are seeds, and your mind is the fertile soil. Train yourself to choose only the seeds that match your desires and refuse to allow weeds to take root. Protect your mental garden. Nourish it with the water of repetition, the sunlight of belief, and the discipline of focus. Watch with patience as it grows, for the harvest is guaranteed. And when you look back, you will realize that every achievement, every triumph, every transformation began not with chance or luck, but with a single, trained thought in the quiet chambers of your own mind. And when you look back, you will realize that every achievement, every triumph, every transformation began not with chance or luck, but with a single, trained thought in the quiet chambers of your own mind. Think carefully about this truth, for it is the hinge upon which the door of your destiny swings. One thought, nurtured with care, believed with conviction, and acted upon with persistence, can alter the entire course of a life. The great river of progress has always begun as a single drop of thought in the mind of someone who refused to let it die. The power of a trained mind is not in the number of thoughts it entertains, but in the quality and persistence of the few it holds with unshakable determination. It is not enough, however, to merely know this. Knowledge without application is like a map never used, a compass never consulted. The real transformation begins when you act upon what you think, when you discipline not only your mind, but also your habits to align with your vision. The trained mind does not stop at thought. It compels action. It creates within you a restlessness, a drive, a sense that you cannot remain as you are, that you must move forward, you must progress, you must grow. This restlessness is not anxiety. It is the natural force of life urging you to expand. Everything in nature grows, reaches higher, stretches toward more. The tree does not apologize for seeking the sun. The river does not hesitate to carve its way to the sea. In the same way, a trained mind will not allow you to remain stagnant. It will demand that you take steps toward your dream each day, no matter how small, no matter how difficult. And with each step, the vision in your mind begins to solidify, first in action, then in results. Understand this clearly. The distance between where you are now and where you want to be is bridged by disciplined thought, followed by disciplined action. The world does not reward daydreams, but it will bend itself to the person who thinks deliberately and acts persistently. The moment you align thought and action, you set into motion a law as certain as gravity itself, the law that whatever you hold in your mind and back with consistent effort must eventually manifest in your reality. Think also about the environment you create for yourself. The mind is trained not only by what you deliberately choose to think, but also by the influences you allow to surround you. If you wish to rise higher, you must surround yourself with voices, ideas, and influences that reinforce your highest vision. The company you keep, the conversations you engage in, the information you consume, all of these are food for the mind. And just as you would not poison your body with toxins, you must not poison your mind with negativity, cynicism, or mediocrity. A trained mind is vigilant. It filters out the noise, it rejects the useless, it selects only that which nourishes growth. Another essential aspect of training the mind is persistence. The mind, like a muscle, gains strength only through repetition. A single day of focused thought will not change your life, just as one visit to the gym will not transform the body. The results appear only through consistent, repeated discipline. You must remind yourself daily of your vision. You must write it, speak it, think it, act upon it until it becomes so deeply ingrained in your subconscious that you no longer question its possibility. At that point, your mind will not ask if it can be done. It will only ask how and when. Consider the role of adversity in this process. Too often, people imagine that training the mind means eliminating struggle, as though a life of disciplined thought will somehow remove all obstacles. But the truth is quite the opposite. A trained mind does not eliminate difficulty. It equips you to overcome it. It changes your perception of challenges from barriers to stepping stones. It teaches you that every obstacle carries within it the seed of advancement, that every setback is preparation for a greater comeback. Without adversity, the mind remains soft, undisciplined, and fragile. But when you face difficulty with a trained mind, you transform weakness into resilience, doubt into certainty, failure into wisdom. Think of the times in history when progress was made not because conditions were easy, but because someone refused to allow hardship to dictate the outcome. They trained their mind to see beyond the obstacle, to hold fast to the vision when others surrendered. They proved that victory does not belong to those who never fall, but to those who rise again and again, guided by the picture they refuse to release from their thoughts. And so it is with you. The trained mind will not prevent storms, but it will anchor you so securely that no storm can carry you away. You must also remember that the mind thrives on purpose. Without a great aim, even a trained mind grows idle, restless, and unfocused. The most powerful motivation comes not from the pursuit of comfort, but from the pursuit of purpose. What is it that truly stirs your soul? What dream wakes you in the night, calls to you in quiet moments, demands that you give your life to its fulfillment? Fix your mind upon that purpose. Make it your North Star. For when the mind has a great purpose, it finds energy, creativity, and determination beyond anything you believed possible. Every day that you wake is another chance to strengthen this discipline. Begin your mornings by directing your mind before the world attempts to direct it for you. Take a few moments to recall your vision, to state your affirmations, to picture your desired future vividly. In doing so, you set the course for the day. You declare to your mind, this is where we are going, this is what matters. And throughout the day, whenever distractions arise, return to that vision. Each return strengthens your control, like reins guiding a powerful horse. The beauty of training the mind is that it compounds. The discipline you practice today makes tomorrow easier. The focus you build this week makes next week more powerful. Small victories accumulate into great achievements. At first, progress feels subtle, almost invisible. But over time, you will notice a change in your clarity, in your confidence, in the way you respond to life. You will notice opportunities appearing where before you saw none. You will notice yourself achieving goals that once seemed far beyond reach, and you will realize that the difference was not in the world around you, but in the training of your own mind. Do not overlook gratitude in this process. Gratitude is one of the most powerful disciplines for training the mind because it shifts your focus from lack to abundance, from despair to possibility. Each day, take time to dwell on what you already possess, on the progress you have already made, on the opportunities that already exist around you. A grateful mind is a fertile mind, open to greater blessing, receptive to new ideas. Gratitude transforms ordinary moments into fuel for extraordinary achievement. Above all, recognize that the responsibility for training your mind is yours alone. No one else can do it for you. Others may inspire you, guide you, encourage you, but in the end, the thoughts you choose are yours and yours alone. This is not a burden. It is the greatest freedom you possess. For no matter your past, no matter your present circumstances, you hold within you the power to change your future by changing the direction of your mind. When you truly grasp this, you will no longer be the same. You will no longer drift aimlessly or blame circumstances or surrender to fear. You will stand with clarity, with purpose, with discipline, and you will know that the mind you train today is building the life you will live tomorrow. From this point forward, every thought you allow to dwell in your mind takes on a weight of its own. It is either moving you closer to your vision or further away from it. There is no neutrality in thought. The mind is constantly shaping, constantly building, constantly responding to the images and beliefs you feed it. This is why you must become deliberate, why you must treat every idea with the seriousness it deserves, for it is the blueprint of what will inevitably appear in your life. When you train your mind, you are, in essence, training reality itself. You are aligning your inner world with the outer world, setting into motion the lie. How that thought becomes form. And the more disciplined you become in this practice, the more rapidly you will see results. Opportunities that once seemed rare will suddenly appear abundant. Problems that once felt insurmountable will reveal solutions. Paths that seemed closed will begin to open. It will feel at times as though the universe itself is conspiring to assist you, but in truth, it is simply responding to the command of your trained mind. Consider the role of patience in this process. Too often people begin with enthusiasm, but falter when results do not come quickly. They forget that the seed must first take root in the darkness before it pushes through the soil into the light. They abandon their vision before it has had time to mature, and in doing so, they rob themselves of the harvest that was already on its way. A trained mind understands that time is an ally, not an enemy. It knows that persistence is the bridge between thought and manifestation. It holds fast to the vision with calm confidence, knowing that as long as the thought remains clear and the action consistent, the outcome is certain. Discipline of the mind also demands that you learn to master your words. Words are thoughts spoken aloud, vibrations that not only influence your own mind, but also the minds of others. When you speak doubt, you strengthen doubt. When you speak fear, you magnify fear. But when you speak faith, you reinforce belief. When you declare your vision with confidence, you train your mind to align with it even more powerfully. Be vigilant with your language. Do not casually affirm limitation. Do not reinforce failure with careless speech. Let your words become allies to your vision, not saboteurs of your progress. Another powerful discipline is the control of imagination. Imagination is the workshop of the mind, the place where raw thought takes shape into pictures, into feelings, into plans. Sadly, most people misuse imagination, employing it to rehearse fears, to magnify worries, to dwell on what they do not want. But the trained mind employs imagination as a creative force, picturing with clarity the life desired, rehearsing success, envisioning victory long before it occurs. What you imagine consistently, you prepare yourself to experience, and when the mind has rehearsed something often enough, it accepts it as inevitable and works tirelessly to bring it about. Think also of the role of decision. The untrained mind wavers, hesitates, drifts from one idea to another, never settling, never committing. But the trained mind is decisive. Once a goal is chosen, it does not linger in doubt, it commits fully, directing every thought, every action, every resource toward its fulfillment. Decisions give the mind clarity, and clarity gives the mind power. Each day, practice making firm, deliberate choices, both small and large. Each choice strengthens the muscle of decision, and in time, your ability to act with confidence will become second nature. The trained mind also cultivates calmness. It refuses to be shaken by every change of circumstance or every shift of opinion. It stands steady, like a mountain amid storms. This calmness is not apathy, it is strength. It is the ability to think clearly when others are confused, to remain composed when others panic, to move deliberately when others react blindly. Calmness comes from knowing that you control your inner world, regardless of what happens in the outer world. It is one of the greatest advantages of a disciplined mind, for in calmness you see opportunities invisible to those clouded by fear or frenzy. There is also the necessity of self-image. The mind, no matter how well trained, cannot rise above the picture you hold of yourself. If you see yourself as small, unworthy, incapable, the mind will sabotage every attempt to rise higher, for it cannot act in conflict with the image it serves. But if you deliberately construct within yourself the image of confidence, strength, and success, the mind will align your thoughts and actions to match that image. Every achievement is preceded by a change in self-image. Train your mind, therefore, to see yourself not as you are today, but as you desire to become. Hold that picture until it becomes so natural that you cannot imagine yourself as anything less. You must also practice persistence in the face of criticism. The moment you choose a vision that rises above the average, there will be voices that question, criticize, even mock. The untrained mind crumbles under this pressure, surrendering its vision to the opinions of others. But the trained mind remains steadfast, for it understands that criticism is inevitable whenever one dares to step beyond mediocrity. Do not fear the voices of doubt. They are only proof that you are moving in a direction worth pursuing. Train your mind to remain focused on the goal, and let criticism serve only as fuel for greater determination. Remember, too, the importance of balance. A trained mind is not obsessed with one area of life while neglecting all others. It seeks harmony. It directs thought toward health as well as wealth, toward relationships as well as achievement, toward inner peace as well as outward success. For what good is accomplishment if it comes at the cost of health, or prosperity if it comes at the cost of happiness? The disciplined mind seeks the whole picture, ensuring that every aspect of life is enriched and elevated by the vision it holds. As you continue in this practice, you will discover a remarkable truth. The more you train your mind, the more it trains you. What once required great effort will become natural. What once felt forced will become automatic. At first, you must consciously direct your thoughts, but in time, your subconscious will adopt the patterns you repeat and operate them without effort. This is the stage where true power is found, for now the mind works tirelessly in your favor, even when you are not aware of it. It becomes a silent partner, guiding, prompting, creating, aligning every detail of your life with the vision you have instilled within it. And perhaps the greatest gift of all is this: a trained mind gives you freedom. Freedom from fear, from doubt, from limitation. Freedom from the sway of circumstances and the opinions of others. Freedom to think, to choose, to create deliberately. Most people live imprisoned by their own untrained thoughts, never realizing the bars of the cage are illusions of their own making. But when you train your mind, you dissolve those illusions, and you step into a life of purpose, direction, and limitless possibility.